Showing of LMP Thunder Series here at Lanes Raceway. We're about to get up underway. All of our racers here that showed up tonight's got a lucky little bit of a reprieve from the big amount of racers that just hit Sunday night. So we're going to be getting up underway here tonight. We got Paul Woosley, Randy Kirtley, Glenn Burden, and Bruce Bullington going to run this 8 heats, 5-minute heat intervals. A little bit of a longevity race yet again. Hopefully we see some more excitement, maybe some busted gears, possibly busted cars. Of course, Lanes Raceway always gets excited about busted up cars. We love selling parts here. We like to keep the most high premium grade parts here, but these guys managed to find a way to beat and bang on each other enough to even break stainless steel. But that's the kind of racing we got going on here tonight. Stick around with us. I'm going to get the attention of these guys here in a minute. On the microphone and maybe do a interview before the race starts and see what their expectations are tonight with a little bit less of a field. It's a beautiful day here in Livermore, Kentucky. You can't ask for better weather. Wish I was in a hammock right now. So happy to have these guys out there support Lanes Raceway. Like I said, I'm going to go out there right now and talk to them before the race because I know a couple of them are pretty excited about getting underway and seeing what they can do. So you'll see me here shortly right there in your upper right-hand screen right before we get started. Glenn, why don't you join me over here on a little bit of interview before you get started in your big race here tonight. I see you're representing a brand spanking new body. Usually you drive the Sky Active car, the red car. I believe it's a Mazda if I'm not mistaken. And now you have opted for like a 1991 CLK Mercedes with flames on the front. Do you like this body better? You think it handles better? I just want your impressions on your new body that you're running tonight.
Yeah, this body's a little better handling, and it's lighter, so I had to put more weight in the car, about 2 grams. But it seems like it handles better than the Sky Active car does.
Okay. Glenn, I'll be right back with you. I think I might have the microphone off. I'm going to check real quick. If I have it off, I'd like you to tell everybody that once again. We're good, Glenn. I probably just screamed in their ears, too. So you do think it does handle a little bit better. Have you done any extra work on your car from last week? I know there was a lot of wrecks Sunday. I know you were caught up in a few of them. Do you expect that here tonight? Do you expect that you're in like-minded people here to be able to race a good, clean race? No,
these 5 minutes to go by fast with these 4 racers. Me, Randy, and Bruce, and Paul, we look out for each other, and these will go by real fast, I believe.
So kindness does go a long way. And I have raced with each and every one of these guys, and I can attest to what Glenn Burden is saying right now. These guys do race you clean as long as you race them clean. But they are very meek men. They know how to use the sword. They just don't choose to use the sword. So if you do wreck them, each and every one of these guys can surely knock you off the track. Excited about what's fixing to go on. Everybody's weighed in so far. Everybody has passed weight at 105 grams or above. So Bruce 105.3, 105.5 for Glenn Burden. What are you weighing in at, Randy?
105.9.
105.9. What about you, Paul? What are you weighing in at? 105 dead? 5 grams. Paul Woosley is disqualified, ladies and gentlemen, disqualified from the race. All right, we're fixing to get ready and go underway. My wife will be track marshaling. Your track buttons are turned on tonight because it's just T yet again. We don't have a full pack, so just bear with her. Would you guys like a special color, white on the track, or just turned off? Or just the way it is? All right, can do, will do. Want it on yellow? Can do. Yellow it is. All right. We're going to get up underway. I'm going to lay this microphone over here so y'all can hear the slot cars go roundabout as we get ready to do some commentating over all these beautiful cars out here on the track. Here I am back in the booth. All racers are ready, about to make an announcement, and we'll get racing. Racers, are you ready? Watch your lights. Here we go. A special thanks to Glenn and a real special thanks to Paul Woosley today. He actually helped me out. I was having a little bit of trouble catching up today, so he helped glue some of the braid down today from our race Sunday. If you had watched that race Sunday, you'd know that it was a pretty brutal race. Several cars coming off, just a brutal race. My wife just currently added up the lap times for Thursday and Sunday last week. Here we are yet again. We're going to add the lap times up for this week and Sunday, and then we're going to turn those in for Let's Talk Racing radio show coming up this coming Tuesday. Bruce has let me know that his car looks better in yellow light, so we have opted to do yellow LEDs tonight for the guys. Some of these guys don't like the radical changing in lights. That's kind of just an attention getter for the most part for people. So we've opted to run the yellow lights here today for the racers. And it's so far so good. It seems like everybody's running neck and neck here. Glenn Burton out in the early lead, followed by Bruce Bullington, Paul Woosley. Randy Kirtley there in the back must have had a few incidents there as he's trying to chase these guys down. With more and more of these guys piling up there on the inside, it's just a moment of time before something might radically happen here. Red and white lane, of course, dive bombing on each other there. White lane being Randy Kirtley as he goes to take an inside dive there on Paul Woosley, and he's able to successfully make the pass, but just by inches there. But everybody pretty much staying right there neck and neck. Glenn Burton, like I said, out there in the lead. 19 laps on green lane, doing a spectacular job here at Lanes Raceway in his new CLK 99 body. I know the other day we were just running a friendly race. I had a NASCAR that I pulled out of the box. It was actually yesterday, and Glenn was nigh impossible to catch there for a little bit. And then I caught him a little bit messing up a few times, and once he messed up a few times, I was able to reel it back in. But by the end of the race, I messed up several times. And Glenn ended up coming back and just narrowly missed the lead on me. So I was right in front of the bridge there. I'll just show you right here with the mouse clicker. I ended my car right here, and Glenn's ended right here, and we were both on the same lap. So it's kind of good that we both kind of had some fall apart there, but Glenn ended up coming back pretty strong there at the end, and I kind of fell apart. So that's racing sometimes, and good to see all these guys about on the same lap here. 33, 34 laps, 2 minutes and 46 seconds left to go. Medians and best lap times all within 3.5, 3.6 seconds. These guys got some humdingers of cars. Like I said, each one of them weighed in perfectly on the weight benches there. And periodically throughout this race, maybe once, twice, 3, 4 times, who knows, I may go out there and test the weight to make sure that they're all staying in weight for everybody that's in this series, you know, just to keep things equal. Some people can't make it here on Thursday nights. Some people can. We're happy to have them whenever they can come. We try to make a day for individuals both during the week and those individuals that have to work on the weekdays. So anyways, everything's looking good. All the cars running good. Freshly glued track. We glued it 3 positions today. I ended up gluing it here. I glued it here. And I glued it right across here. And the reason why, just to help drag some of that glue through the track. The back ends were getting, as you can see, some of the tail marks here. You can kind of tell that they were getting a little swirly coming out of this corner, and it was causing them to dig nose into the track. And they were pitching her too far right here, coming around this corner, digging the nose into that track. Well, whenever they were digging that nose into the track, that's why Paul had to fix some of the braid earlier today. It was ripping up the braid. So a little bit of glue goes a long way, and I believe that glue is going to be the fixer. You can't tell, possibly hear the sound of the tracks back live again. Like I said, special thanks to Glenn. I didn't mention why I was special thanks to Glenn and Randy earlier, but at the beginning of the race I did say it, and then I got off on topic on Paul for helping me today. But that special thanks to Glenn and Randy the other day, we ended up getting the sound figured out for this track. It's been muted for about the past couple races, but come to find out, for some reason or another, it completely moved sound setting on the computer to the actual motherboard of the computer. The sound was coming out of the motherboard of the computer. It was really strange. So we ended up swapping that back, and once we swapped it back, turned the volume up on the TV, everything worked out good. So you can really hear the announcer's voice out there letting them know that there's 1 minute left to go on the racetrack. So things are coming together here at Lanes Raceway. Also, I don't know if you guys have paid attention in the news of Lanes Raceway, but a new addition to the pinball machines. We got the Jurassic Park the other day, so we're really excited about that. Had us a little first day of it. A bunch of people come in playing pinball, so for the moment, we threw a couple of pinball competitions together. Had a friendly pinball competition. Didn't cost nobody anything, and we just kind of played for the top 4 positions. And I gave out prizes. Those prizes were pinballs, the old pinballs from the machines when we first opened. And, of course, it's been about a year now. So it's good to change your pinballs out about once every 6 months to a year, depending on how much they get played. Not to mention, I really do enjoy keeping these pinballs really, really clean for all of our patrons here that come in and play pinball. I want them to have the best pinball experience they possibly can. In other words, I want them slapping the pinball machines, shunting the pinball machines, beat them half to death for all I care. Anything that's mechanical can be fixed, and I would rather them get really, really good at pinball like we get our slot car racers really, really good at slot car racing. Speaking of pinball, let's go over here to scene 2 so you guys can just go over what our current scores are here at Lanes Raceway. See if I can move that down a little bit. So see. There we go. And as you can see, we got Jurassic Park there in the top right. Hobo's currently the leader there. Grayson holding it down on Mandalorian and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pretty good. But I will tell you something. Last night, Robert Bishop, I watched him play the best game of Rush I've probably ever seen in my life. He was getting so many multi-balls, it was giving him shots off of his multi-balls. So that was pretty spectacular to see. But after the first heat, Randy Kirtley 78, 77 Bruce, 76 Glenn, Paul Woosley there 75. So 1, 2, 3, 4 laps, 5 laps difference. So exciting to see these guys are so closely packed in there. Minute and 42 seconds before we go back green. I'm going to make sure all of our animation stuff are up and running, and I'll be right back with you. 1 minute to go. Looks like everything's up and going now currently. Trying to keep our streams a little bit more simple, simply because of the internet connection, the network being bloated whenever we get a lot of people coming in playing pinball and stuff like that. And who really can know if we're going to get a bunch of people coming in, linking up to our Wi-Fi and stuff like that. We have free Wi-Fi here at Lanes Raceway, so whenever it gets kind of bloated up like that, we end up having a few issues. So we'll keep the stream nice and simple like this, where you can see the track, see the racers, and maybe go over a few things, do a little bit of exciting, fun things with the like arrows and everything like that. But as for swapping in and out, showing you what it looks like outside and stuff like that, it's probably best just to keep it simple for the time being until we get our new computer that we're working on getting. But right now, everything's on the up and up, only running about 27 to 31 CPU percentage, GPU about the same, 27, 31. And everything seems to be perfectly timed on both videos, so that's exciting. Ooh, so we get Bruce Bullington's car to come off there in the high banks on the red lane. Comes all the way up from blue to the red lane, so could have got in a little bit of trouble there with Paul Woosley as they both kind of chuckle with each other a little bit. Well, that's exactly what Glenn said. He said that green car kind of got into that yellow car. Well, the green car is Paul Woosley. He's there on the horseshoe of the track in your upper right-hand portion of the screen as we go around. We ended up getting him about a lap there on Bruce for a little bit of roughness, but it looks like he's going to get paid back in kind there as he comes out a little bit too sloppy out of the horseshoe, causing his car to slip and slide down the back stretch all the way up into the high banks. And all these racers having a pretty good go of it is you reap what you sow, so. Like so far we've had 136 total drop frames. Hopefully that stays about the same. That was probably right when we first started up the stream. Looks like everything's pretty good right now. Randy Kirtley's car really in tune, especially the past couple races. Like I said, that race he had Sunday where Gabriel Kirtley ended up beating him. Well, actually, Gabriel, Guillermo, and Glenn Burton, I believe, ended up beating him. Paul Woosley ended up having a full-speed come apart as his gear ended up breaking on him in the final heat. And like I said, with these long rounds, it really is anybody's game at the end of it, because the race will go on. So that's the nervous part about running these big type enduro style races, 5-minute heats. It's a lot on these motors, especially the way these guys got them geared to be able to run that fast on the backstretch. Randy Kirtley's car there also kind of leaned down a little bit on the red lane, but I think he'll be fine. We'll go back starting. He goes up underneath the bridge there. He's coming to chase people down, but the big battle going on right now is Bruce Bullington on the backstretch with Paul Woosley. Both of them coming around the horseshoe as they get into each other a little bit. Paul Woosley having to fix his car as he got paid back by Bruce Bullington for the dirty talk that he gave him earlier. Kind of a little bit of a spread out here now. Everybody kind of spread out on their own, but we see that Paul Woosley's trying to reel in what seems to be Randy Kirtley there on red lane, back up there with Bruce again as they come back in again, and he gets into Bruce Bullington. What do we got going on here? Start of a rivalry? So both Bruce Bullington and Paul Woosley getting into a little bit of a ruckus there on the front stretch. We see my wife bringing around the car for Bruce to take a peek at. The car that caused this incident, you can see him there in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen there on green lane. That would be Paul Woosley as he kind of got into him a little bit there as he goes to try to tuck his rear tire there to make sure it don't slide down. It's always good and exciting to see these guys beating and banging on each other, see what can come of it. But both of them very friendly here as they're continuing on this lane rotation. Of course, Bruce getting put behind the white line as that incident took place before the finish line. So he'll be able to get his lane there. Randy Kirtley talking to Bruce about the setting of the guide flag. What's that? 790s now? What kind? I know, but what kind? Telford, Mid-America? Asking. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. I got to get some tires for the guys. Got about 3 minutes for their heat rotation here. He wants some 790s, so I'll be right back with you. All right, so Paul opted into getting some more 790 for his car. I guess he really enjoys them. 790 Mid-America carbon hub, medium hubs. That's what he was wanting, so we got those for him. Paul Woosley calling another yellow flag there as his car does a full speed roundabout there on green lane. Now I got to kind of catch up here to see what's going on. Yep, all these doors open up underneath here. If you've been here, you know what I'm talking about. But these doors, they open the way that I wish they'd open the other way. But the brackets are screwed in this certain way. It ends up making it where it's hard for me to leave the booth because we have a beautiful screen right here. You kind of see it on my fingertips there. And it's right up next to my hand. So a little bit tight, kind of keep it from pulling out of the ceiling up here. All temporary, just for the series races, so you guys can see what's going on at the pinball behind me here, and of course Livermore's Bridge over here. Got to represent Livermore. That's where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. What a beautiful place to grow up to. Love this place. We're getting a little bit of a cluster happening here yet again between Paul Woosley, Randy Kirtley, and Glenn Burden. Paul Woosley kind of ducking off there a little bit, but Glenn Burden holding his own as he's trying to reel in Randy Kirtley there and doing a pretty good job of it. A little bit slower around the donut than Randy. Randy seems to be pushing a little bit harder around the donut, but he's still staying there in kind as they come up on Bruce Bullington here in the full-speed American Muscle Cobra. Car comes off under the bridge. Paul Woosley yet again there on the green lane. Ooh, Randy Kirtley gives a subtle shunt there to Bruce Bullington, pushing him right into Glenn, giving him a little bit of free space there. These guys may be kind, but at the same time, they got to run a race. When it comes around to that donut, sometimes it's hard to see their cars, and these guys get into each other just a little bit. Like I said, I have glued the track, but even though I've glued the track, it looks like these guys are still slipping into each other. The gear ratios on these cars are making them radical. Randy Kirtley there tapping the wall coming out of the horseshoe there. He's just right behind Bruce Bullington's yellow Cobra. He tries his best to reel him in. Looks like he's just giving him a little bit of cushion weight there behind him, seeing if maybe Bruce might come off. So Randy pushing him even harder and harder there, diving him deep there on the dead man's corner each time, just to try to push him just a little bit more. As we see Paul's car coming off there, they narrowly miss it. Randy Kirtley was able to get in front of Bruce after that incident. Now we see another bit of a spread out here. Paul Woosley trying his best to reel in Bruce, try to get a little bit of an inch back on some of that lapse. He goes to make the pass here. And he does it as Bruce lets him get a little bit of a leeway there. He kind of brake checks him up a little bit, lets him go on by. Randy and Glenn Burden there around the horseshoe as Glenn Burden comes off quick, but my wife gets him back on quick. Randy Kirtley staying on tight there on the red lane, running a really spectacular red lane here so far as we see Paul Woosley there coming off in the S turns. A real hard reach there, so gets a yellow button press there. Stop the track. Everybody back on. Pretty spread out yet again. We see Glenn Burden there doing a little bit of a reel in as he gets a beautiful coast underneath Dead Man's Corner. And that's the end of the heat there, folks. 159 laps total for Randy Kirtley. Right there behind him, though, Glenn Burden nipping at the bud to catch Randy. And yet hasn't ran the lower lanes yet to be able to get some of those higher laps possible. So Bruce Bullington there, 150. Paul Woosley, 150 on the same lap, beating and banging, doing their best. These littler races here where there's not as many people in it seems to be less chaotic and a lot more enjoyable to watch, in my opinion, just simply because the guys are battling so closely with each other. They can kind of give each other a little bit of room because they kind of know where everybody is on the track. When you get 8, it's just one after another, after another, after another, and sometimes that alone, it can be daunting, especially on a 5-minute heat rotation. 3 minutes last night when we did a practice race for this race was all I could take, and I don't get to run very many races, but I will tell you, ladies and gentlemen, 3 minutes, there was coming a point, I even talked to Glenn Burden about it, that I was just hoping and praying somebody was going to wreck because we were on a good flow, and we were going for about 2.5 minutes, no wrecks, and I did not want to be the first one. Well, that idea was getting just drilled in my head. You're going to be the one that wrecks. You're going to be the one that wrecks. And you know, I was just maybe a lap or two from coming off, just from getting into my own head. But thank goodness somebody else come off before me, and that person was Glenn. I said, thank you, Glenn, because I was about to wreck myself. So, but anyways, like I said, this can be very, very daunting. And now these guys are not just running 3 minutes, they're running 5. So it's an extra 2 minutes on top of that to keep their focus. So seeing that 5-minute heat there, 1 minute left to go before they go back out there. These guys got very, very small times to work on their cars and get them back out there. The whole point is can you set a car up and have just the same amount of pit time and keep it alive during the whole race? And so far, just in the couple races we've had, it's been decent. We've had a few full-speed come-aparts where people's had to take their cars off and go work on them. But probably the most catastrophic was the wreck we seen Sunday night between Glenn Burden and Randy Kirtley, where they flipped off the backstretch there, and Randy Kirtley ended up stripping out 3 gears. Right now, Kel P. Kel, you're in the lead right now for NASCAR. You're in first place. But Gabriel Kirtley come in, and he actually ran his time, so you won't be getting the $20 unless you come back in and beat his time. That will be ending, by the way. The VR competition for the circle track race on VR will be ending the 15th. Right now it is the 8th. But yeah, Kel, right now you are currently in the lead. Behind you is Jordan Fulkerson in second place. Third place is Glenn Burden. Those will be the 3 places that get paid out. All right, folks, here we go. We're fixing to go back green racing as several of the cars underneath the bridge to come out. Bruce Bullington makes it out alive as we see Paul Woosley car having a little bit more struggling time there as he's back on blue lane, having some issues there with that Mazzetti this week. Of course, the thing was running beautifully the other night as he was running, I believe, a Salvador chassis in the practice race, and that thing was just hard to catch. But he's back on his Mazzetti this week. Maybe a little bit different of a feel, maybe has him a little bit off balance here. So it might take him a couple heats just to get back in the mix here as Paul Woosley, usually not one that hangs out at the bottom. So anyways, we'll see how things go. There on red lane, though, we see Bruce Bullington really putting in a strong effort there on red, turning 3.8 seconds. I've seen as fast as 3.3 seconds there on red, but that was with wing cars. So we'll see what happens here as we continue on in this race. Some of these guys actually approaching those lap times pretty quick there, with 3.49 on green lane by Randy Kirtley. His best lap. Randy Kirtley's car definitely just spot on as he's got that new gear put in there and got it fixed up. that all these guys pass weight inspection before the race. Oh, as we get a little bit of contact there between Bruce Bullington and I believe maybe Randy, a little sloppy shot back through the S turns there. Side of that car really kicking out there. I did check the batteries earlier today. I know I told you guys in the previous stream. Yeah, it is nice, Kel. So hang in there, Kel, man. Keep looking at Facebook for sure, Kel. I'll let you know if anything changes. But the pot is steadily growing. I think Glenn's going to keep trying as he wants to take out Jordan Fulkerson. We'll see if he gets in there before the 15th. So the pot's probably going to grow a little bit more before the end of the month. Might try something a little newer next month. It just depends how many more people come and give it a shot. We got a three-way cluster up here coming out of the horseshoe. That'd be Randy Kirtley dive bombing there in the center as we see Bruce Bullington coming out yet again there in the S turn. Possibly a raised braid there in the S corner of the track. I can't really see it from here, but usually when a person gets hung that many times in a row, that's usually what's taking place. So we see Bruce Bullington there taking his time a lot easier through the S turns now instead of trying to push the subject. Bruce comes off and he takes another car with him. It looks to be Randy Kirtley that he grabs. Glenn Burden and Paul Woosley safe on that transaction as they made it through the bridge. All these guys running really, really well here tonight. Hardly any wrecks here. This is kind of racing that you want to see from guys of this caliber. When you do stack them up 8 wide, though, being that close with people, the intensity, just the sheer resolve that you have to hold it in for 8 lanes to be in, let's say, the top 3 positions. Very, very tough. These guys definitely deserve their positioning whenever they do score first through third. Of course, the way this LMP Thunder Series works is for each lap, the racers get a point after they race 8. The pot, Kel, is currently at $65, I think. I can check at the break. Give me about 2 minutes till this heat's over with, and I'll check for you. But yeah, these guys, they really do deserve where they're at. One point per lap is what they get. We're going to tally that up. That's going to go on, like I said, the radio show, Let's Talk Racing 94.7. This coming Tuesday, you can watch it live at 7 o'clock p.m. Or you can wait till the next day and you can check it out. I think it's on, well, you can search it, Let's Talk Racing, and it'll pop up like Owensboro or something. You can literally just watch the previous recorded off of their sports section there. But yeah, a really good radio show there by a friend of ours, Blake. He puts it on, and we do appreciate his time and how much effort he puts into learning things. We was on the radio show a couple weeks ago, and I was very surprised to know that he knew that we let guys sign the upper rafters if they win the race, and he wanted to know what all that was about. So, of course, we told him, and he was kind of wanting the audience to know a little bit more about slot car racing and what it was all about. So we let them know what we're about here at Lanes Raceway is, for the most part, smiles. We love people to have a good time and be smiling while they're in here. Great place to have birthday parties, of course, probably the best around, I would say. And nice, cool environment for the most part, if I remember to keep the air conditioning on. But just good people. These guys will definitely help you get your car up to snuff to race with them. They love competition. That's why these guys are here racing every single race that we have. You know, I guess they would say homebodies. They got mailboxes in the back. But the thing is, that's just how much they love racing. Now, whether it's slot car racing, dirt racing, drag racing, or even slot car drag racing, we do have guys that just love racing. That's what we want to build this place around. Racing, getting better, getting confident as young adults, confident in whatever you do, whether it be racing, VR racing, or arcade games, pinball, you know, any of that. And I think these little bitty games like this serve a greater purpose whenever you become a full-blown adult. You know, if you don't give up on little things like this by the time you're an adult, you know, you'll be very prosperous, I believe, because you won't give up on things that are required of a man in today's society. Randy Kirtley, currently your leader here, 232 laps, just turned 77 total laps with 25 seconds left to go. Glenn Burden, like I said, he's just down by right at 9 laps. He's really, really won. Woosley. What's happening? Uh-oh. Hopefully we're still live. My computer just made a like it lost a USB or something. Everything seems like it's on the up and up. Might have lost connection here. Well, I'm going to go check and see what the pot's up to. I believe it's 65, but our current leader, Randy Kirtley, 244 total laps, followed by Glenn Burden, 234, Paul Woosley, 230, and Bruce Bullington, 222. Second place is readily up for grabs here. If Randy Kirtley has a full speed come apart like he did the other night, so is first place. It's all within grabs. I'll be right back. The pot in the VR lap battle is up to $65 total here. Gabriel Kirtley's time is a 27.654. He's got you by 0.06 of a second currently. So if you come in, like I said, he may come back and try to fight for it. He is the racer of the month, so he's got the right to fight for it to be the racer for the next month. But if you do beat him, that makes you the racer of the month, and then you can do the same thing for the following week, get a race for free and keep your name up on the very top and try to beat him. But right now, your time is a 27.660. Jordan Fulkerson is a 27.752. Glenn Burden is a 27.819, and a total pot is $65. So first place will get half of that pot. 30% will go to second, and then 20% will go to third. Glenn Burden, are you going to try to knock Jordan Fulkerson off the VR battle? Kale's on there. He's wanting to know if he's still in the lead, and I let him know. But are you going to be knocking him and Jordan Fulkerson down a peg or two?
When does it end? The 19th?
15th.
The 15th? I still got 5 more days.
Oh, Glenn's not Nick Kale. He's got 5 more days. You could just tell in his voice he's already got it planned to put you down a peg or two. So Kale, definitely keep a focus on our Facebook page and make sure you're still in the lead. Glenn Burden, about 5 days, he's probably going to give it all he's got. The 15th of the month is when the competition ends. After that, we'll post the winners and you can come in and get your cash. Kale, dang. Yeah, Kale. Glenn likes to have fun. You know Glenn. Yeah, I know it is eating a little bit of a small portion of his integrity that Jordan has second place. But Jordan has, hard fought it. I told him also, Jordan, of course we call him Jordania Esquire here when he races slot cars. I told him, I said, Jordan, the first time that you race a race and don't finish last place, we'll change your name to Jordan Fulkerson. But we like to have fun with Jordan. Jordan's a good guy, and of course you guys know Jordan. We all like to have a pretty good time. Of course, Jordan, he likes to have a good time himself. So, anyways, we're all good racers here. We like to have fun with one another. And Jordan did a really good job there on the VR battle. I was just checking some of the stats there for a second. He did really well there on the VR battle. So it's definitely Jordan Fulkerson on the VR battle, because that time he got is hard to get. And of course, Kel, you know how hard it is to get up there at the top of that leaderboard. It's not an easy task. Back to racing here on the slot car track here on the orange for the LMT Thunder Series here at Lanes Raceway. Randy Kirtley still currently your leader by about 11 laps or so, and already 2 laps ahead in this heat alone. Glenn Burden on his favorite track right now, Black Lane. He loves to drag that outside like Bobby Pierce. Him and Randy Kirtley both pushing it to the limits on that Black Lane. We can see that 99 CLK Mercedes body just ripping and roaring around there on the inside as he goes to do his best to keep Paul Woosley at bay. He gives a little bit of a brake check there, allowing Paul to get on by, but Paul Woosley seems to got his car back under control here as he is sticking tight there on purple, as Paul Woosley's trying his best to reel in the yellow car of Bruce Bullington. All these cars are just so close together. I mean, these guys are not given but maybe a quarter of a car length every single lap. And, I mean, these cars are no longer than maybe 6-7 inches. So, you know, you're a couple inches each lap. It's brutal. As we see Paul Woosley there really driving that purple lane deep, so deep, I think maybe it kind of threw Bruce off a little bit as he tried to hold that donut just as hard and coming around the inside of him there on the horseshoe. Paul Woosley's car definitely motivating here as he has turned a 3.464 on purple, only to be bested by Randy Kirtley's 3.434. Alicia, I'll tell you, each and every week Bruce has brought that car in faster and better handling. That yellow, he is representing for America. One of the only guys out there representing for America. Actually, he's the only one currently. So he's got the Shelby, I believe it's a Daytona. It's what it looks like anyway to me. It's like a yellow Shelby Daytona, Shelby Cobra Daytona. Anyways, it's the only American-made car that's out there. All the rest of these guys are driving Porsches, Mazdas, Maseratis. But that's the only one that I know of that is actually American-built car out there, and he's giving the guys such a run for their money with a retro car. It begs the question if retro cars are not technically faster. As we can see there in a straight line, his car is probably the fastest car out there in a straight line. We see he lets off a little bit earlier than most, but in a straight line coming from the backstretch when everybody's full speed, his car does inch on him a little bit on every single car that's out there today. Right now we have Paul Woosley getting his car put back on the horseshoe there in the backstretch. We had talked about it a couple weeks ago, and Bruce was saying that he's going to put a piece of Lexan on the back and give him a little bit of wing rear downforce. I believe that would help a lot, especially in the cornering coming around the donut there, giving a little bit of that downforce. But you see right there, that was just a perfect example to show you how much faster his car is than, let's say, Paul Woosley's car there down on purple. When he comes on the backstretch, that thing is a rocket ship. Randy Kirtley's car, it's kind of weird. His car's quick, but it seems like to me that he has built his car to take the donut, the S-turn, and the horseshoe portion of the track, and that's where he's gaining such an advantage. You see here, he's on blue lane coming around here. Watch how much he gains on these guys. Right there, he gained about a half a car length. Then he drives so much deeper there at Dead Man's Corner. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, he just goes just a little bit more than the rest of the guys, about 4 or 5 car lengths deeper, and that's the game changer. You know, that's what's him coming out smooth, coming out of the horseshoe, and just driving down the tires there in the donut. Until the guys get that kind of deep let off and trigger pull back underneath Dead Man's Corner and drive that pressure through the donut, it's going to be hard to compete with the force that is Randy Kirtley currently. Have I seen him get beat? Yeah, Paul Woosley there is one of them here recently with his car that I have seen Paul Woosley actually take care of Randy a couple times. Another one, Tom Payton, I've seen him take care of Randy, and to utter surprise with the wing car. And, well, he surprised him and Wally last big wing race we had. Of course, our big wing race coming up this Saturday. It's going to be a pretty fun time. Of course, Tom won't be there this weekend. I believe he's on vacation. So, to be sorry to see that Tom won't make it. but we will continue on nonetheless and have the best big wing race that we possibly can. Anybody that has a Group F wing car is more than welcome to come and join in on the action. We do pay 60% out on big wing. It's track bugs, but you know, it's a little bit of initiative to come join in on that. A little bit better payout. 328 laps, Randy Kirtley, Glenn Burton 313, Paul Woosley 313, and Bruce Bullington right there with them with 298. Averages are only separative by about 7 or 8 on average there. Of course, Randy being a front leader there, pretty high up on the guys. But these guys just continually get better. They're staying on more and more, and that's probably one of the biggest deals that cuts a person from winning. I'll put it like this: to get first place, it's going to boil down to you could wreck once, you could wreck twice, you could probably even wreck 3 times. But if you wreck 4 times, you're probably out of the race for the most part. It's that brutal. In a heat, you could probably wreck once a heat, I would say, fine. But that's only if Randy's wrecking the heat. He very, very rarely wrecks unless he gets involved in it. So that's the kind of competition it's gotten to just in probably about the past 4 or 5 months. It's really picked up competition-wise. These guys are getting good. I mean, I've gotten out there when I first started, and it was just child's play. But I can no longer just run a fast pace lap to beat these guys. You have to be pushing now. And every racer is pushing in out there now. So if you ain't pushing, you're losing. If you're coming off, you're losing. So you definitely have to have your ducks in a row. I've been training Jordan Fulkerson. We worked on this first corner here earlier this week, and I kind of put pieces of tape up like that right there, and I needed him to stop right here in the center, you know, on the corner on black. And I said, do it 10 times. Well, when we first started, he was able to do it once every 6 laps. But by the end of the day, about an 8-hour day yesterday of working on it, he was able to do 6 in a row. So that's the key there, is learning your braking point coming along this backstretch. You know, usually you brake somewhere around in this area, just fully let off the trigger, and that'll make your car stop somewhere in the center there. And if you do that and you get that rhythm down, as soon as the car hits that middle point, you get back in the trigger for just a split second, just long enough to make it go through the bridge here, and then you let off again and get right back in it and give it about a quarter throttle all the way around here and hold it, and then let off about that point right here, and then gas it, let off until it's into this point, and then nice and easy come around here, just a nice easy gas, probably let off here to settle, and then smooth yourself back through for the backstretch. Because if you're not smooth coming on the backstretch, that's what those tail wiggles happen, and cause your car to dig in or just pop completely out on the backstretch. I've done it. Last time I done it, Kel knows. Last time I done it and got a little wiggly out there, I went to go get my car, and it got obliterated by Kel, Tom, and Glenn. It got hit by 3 different cars along that backstretch. My car ended up somewhere in this general vicinity here with a bent axle that I just put in the car. So I wasn't the happiest, and that car is still over here. It was one that it was a collaboration of me and Randy Kirtley making a Porsche 917 from 1968 or 69, and we put headlights and taillights in it for like a retro 24-hour Le Mans race that we plan on holding at the beginning of the year, this coming year. I plan on having a pretty good payout just for that race. Now, that race is not going to be for the faint of heart. It is going to be 6 hours on and 6 hours off, so you're going to have a teammate. And basically, what will happen is 3 hours will be 4 lanes, 3 hours will be the other 4 lanes. 3 hours you run, 3 hours the other guy runs. And then we turn the lights off and do the same thing once again for a total of 12 hours. So it's going to be a 12-hour race. It's going to be pretty brutal. We're going to plan on starting early in the morning and ending it by the evening time, probably around 7 or 8 or so. But like I said, it's going to be pretty exciting. I'm planning on, just from Lanes Raceway alone, putting a $500 into the purse. So it's gonna be exciting at the beginning of the year. It's something just to kind of tie it over before we start our winter series. It's just going to be a specialty race, kind of like how we did the Indy Heat race and the 600 lap NASCAR race on the oval a couple of days ago. And of course the payouts on those wasn't that big, and it was a countdown race, but nonetheless, you know, it's a special race, and anybody's invited to get in it. Now the thing is, you're going to have to qualify to get in it. I only want to take 16 of the best racers, so at any time, you know, you can come in with a 4-inch car. Ooh, we see a big wild hit there, a little bit of a surge. It looked like it took place there with Glenn Burden 99 COK Mercedes. About to set that baby literally on fire in the front end. But yeah, they can come in and run a lap time, and we'll just keep track of it. You can do it any time during this year. I'll keep track of your lap times as long as it's a Eagle motor, 3/32 gear ratio, 64 pitch, gearing in the back, anywhere from a 7 to a 14-tooth pinion. So similar to the rules of L&P Thunder, if you want to check that out. And then come in and, you know, I'm just going to judge it off black lane. So top 16 racers on black lane. I'll go from the best racer to the worst racer of 16, and that's going to be your teammate. So first and last is a teammate, second from last is a teammate, so on and so forth. So, you know, of course, pick you a teammate for sure to run with, but you might not be racing with. So anyway, try to keep it as equal as possible. I want it to be as close as possible. That's the whole point of racing, is racing neck and neck so everybody gets better. Speaking of neck and neck, we got Bruce Bullington and Paul Woosley neck and neck with each other here. Not either one of these guys giving an inch. It's, ooh, Randy Kirtley there, kind of a little spooky there as he was through the horseshoe there. And now Bruce Bullington backing off a little bit. Now he's there neck and neck with Randy Kirtley. Like I said, that old, as he gets involved in an incident and Paul Woosley's car off there on the horseshoe. I reiterate the smoothness transaction that needs to take place in here. A smooth trigger around here, and then full acceleration once you know your car's straight. If not, you're going to dig every time, and it's hard to judge a lot of times, especially when you're trying to get that little bit of extra timing. But I'll tell you, you're not going to get a whole lot of timing here. The best way to get timing in this track is learn the rhythm through here, and then learn to hold as much speed as you can through here. But the biggest one is train your car to drive as deep as you can to here, or, well, better views for here, and let off the trigger at the last moment until your car settles up straight. When it settles up straight, gas hard. If you can get dead man's corner down and drive it super deep and push that pressure through the bridge and hold it through the donut, that's where races are won. That's where the most time's made, is through that donut. If you can't hold pressure through that donut, then you're just not going to keep up. But we see all these guys are holding that pressure, and they're making it through that donut really, really close. I mean, these guys are literally just losing by a quarter of a body length. Nuts. Randy Kirtley there on purple lane. This is a lane that Randy's been struggling with here lately. Having issues here, I'll show you by the pole here. I'll just make a big circle. Right along this line here in the pole, there's a little bit of a dip that dips down in the track before it goes under the bridge. If your car's going too fast, you can actually ramp right there. You kind of see the dark area about right here. And your car will actually ramp. And when it ramps, it'll just send it sailing right there in the bridge, or underneath the bridge. But it looks like he made it through that heat very, very well. Him and Bruce Bullington stopping here in the high banks on the track. Randy Kirtley still currently your leader with 408 total laps. Paul Woosley catching up, though, 396. Glenn Burden right there, too, with 394. This is blowing down to be a very, very close race. Bruce Bullington here, 379 total laps. Still in the mix, like I said, 75 to 81. That is the difference in your averages. I'm going to take a small break, and I'll be right back with you. night back racing. Had a little talk with the guys out there. Randy, sure enough, having issues there on Purple Lane. Talked to Bruce too, and the guys, they didn't feel that Bruce was the fastest on the track, but if you just watch right here, right there, that's enough proof. Now Bruce driving her a little bit deeper, and like I said, that's the issue. It's just rear downforce. It's like to me, but that car is a rocket ship right out of the backstretch. Nobody can keep up with it. Plus, I think the argument was that Glenn's is pretty fast too on the backstretch. But, I mean, all these cars are so close. It's really hard to just pick a favorite one. The only reason I kind of like Bruce's more than the other guys is just simply he's the only one racing an American-made car. He's got a Shelby Cobra, of course. I love that car. And does fit Bruce's personality. He loves Fords and works out great.
Get ready.
Glenn's actually running a, we got another wreck here, Bruce. A little bit off there on the horseshoe portion of the track. Glenn there with his 99 CLK, though, made famous there in the 1990s. You can look this up on YouTube. It was coming down, I believe, at the Nuremberg, if I'm not mistaken, coming down off of one of the hills, and that sucker got air, and it flipped up, and you could just see it. It was like it might as well weighed as much as paper. It's what it looked like flying through the air. The air got up underneath that car. Shortly thereafter, they stopped using that car, but it's going to go down in history as one of the most famous cars just simply because of that video. Very good looking car anyway. It's one of my favorite cars growing up. Of course, Randy Kirtley running a Lola, which would be similar to like what they run in the LMP races, real life, or IMSA races, stuff like that. But they were very popular in the late 60s, running with Porsches and Fords, Ferraris, and all that. Of course, they did have, I believe, McLarens. They were more of the day type racing cars. McLarens was than the 24-hour stuff. And then Paul Woosley, he's running a more late model era LMP body, running a Toyota from the 90s era with the bubble eyes. Well, that's what I've always called them anyway.
Get ready.
Alicia says, shout out to Chelsea. She's hauling around the track when need be as track marshal. Yes, she has got plenty of expertise being the track marshal. There's even been times that I've actually called her Son of Octopus Arms. Alicia, I know you know who Octopus Arms is. Old Randy Kirtley there at the beginning, for those that don't know, I gave him the nickname Octopus Arms, or Radical Randy was another one that we gave him. It's now King Kirtley is what he's kind of settled on, but he's had several different nicknames. But he's one of the best at putting cars back on the track, and my wife has gotten exceptionally good at it. It's almost like she's done it so much, she now has the technique to know if the car's guide flag's even messed up in the front. And that's something that just comes with picking up so many cars. You can just kind of feel it after a while and know that the guide flag's messed up on them. I always just like to take them by the front wheels and just push my finger down on the front portion of the car and just shake it back and forth across the lane until they slide in. And usually if they're straight, you can get them back on really good. See Glenn Burton getting his car put back on oranges. He was accelerating a little bit too heavily there. We've seen his back end, man, it's kicking out hard there on orange. Watch orange lane as he comes around here to the horseshoe section here. Speaking of this car here, that back end is stepping out big time on. Now, this could be an issue with maybe a folded up braid possibly, or just dry track, but I did glue all the way across here before the race started. And it could be tire compound, so I don't know. But all these guys, man, they're just neck and neck. It's beautiful to watch these cars, just fluid motion, seeing these guys run the way that they're running. nobody wanting to give an inch. A little bit of an incident there. Chelsea quick on the draw there, getting that car put back in. I tried to get Chelsea to do the live stream tonight, let me track marshal, but she decided that she couldn't talk for 2 hours, or at least an hour. So it is something that definitely takes time to learn how to do, sure. When I first started, it was a whole lot worse than it is now, but if you just pay attention a lot of the times, there's plenty to talk about, especially with these guys. They keep you on your toes. Glenn Burton's car, though, I'm just very, very pleased how his car is handled. He come into the shop yesterday or the day before. It was the day before, and seen the body. We just ripped it off of one of the chassis here in the shop. And he liked the body, so we stuck it on there. He wanted to try something different than his Sky Active. He got a great coast there under the bridge. I wanted to try something a little bit different than his Sky Active. We had talks, me, him, and Randy, and I believe Paul a couple nights ago about his Sky Active being a little too top-heavy, in my opinion. It needed to be cut down. The way that it came from the factory, it was a good, probably quarter of an inch too high, and it was already pinned. So it had to go all the way around the body to cut her down. But this body working well with him. Also the body of Paul Woosley's, he's got a little bit of reinforcement there with the Slick 7 front nose diplane off of a wing car that he's double side taped into the front of it. That keeps his nose down and planted. And that air kind of over like a duck bill, holding him down on the front end. That helps him go through the S-turns quite well. Could be a little bit detrimental on braking as the front downforce is just so strong on the car. So he might not be able to drive it as deep. But nonetheless, Randy Kirtley and Bruce Bullington fighting for their lives here going around the donuts. Bruce Bullington pushing the subject. He gives Randy just a little bit of room there. Man, they were neck and neck. Now they're still neck and neck. Bruce not want to give nothing up as he comes off and catches an edge. Just a little bit too much acceleration in this portion here. Trying to stay up with them. Like I said, Randy Kirtley's car definitely not so much tuned for the straight stretch speed. Probably a bigger size pinion most likely than the other guys. But he is quick through this section here. Randy Kirtley's car is built for that section. See, Randy Kirtley was able to almost get another lap, but man, the coast coming off of Glenn Burton's car is impeccable. After that heat, we got 488 laps total. Randy Kirtley right there behind him, Paul Woosley with 480, and Glenn Burton right there behind him. Just a couple wrecks that last heat where him and Paul were neck and neck with each other. Bruce Bullington there with 456, having a little bit of trouble on that last heat also. But like I said, it's just one heat's what separates these guys from greatness. Randy Kirtley just needs another heat like he did on Purple, and he'll bring it back to where he's within killing range from the rest of these drivers. But all these guys running a pretty good race here. Looks like Bruce Bullington running an exceptionally good blue lane. He really likes blue lane, it looks like. Randy Kirtley, though, man, he's on it today for sure. He comes in bringing the heat for sure with the tee time of 9:08. So really take a small break and be right back with you guys. All right, guys, if you will, please bring your cars up and let's get them weighed in for this final heat. T's got the weigher. We're going to weigh them in, and then y'all have as much time as you need to do all your track stuff that you need to do in the pits. Seven. Lights out. Okay, I'll weld them. It happened. You're racing hard. You know? All right, 55 seconds left to go, but these guys are going to get a little bit more of an extended time period. Plus, I just got disconnected from the session. They're going to get a little bit more time simply because we're weighing them in this heat. Random weight check. They're bringing their cars in now into the shop, getting them weighed. And I'm going to pause it with 5 seconds left to go.
Race starts in 20 seconds.
Alicia, they have to weigh in because we require that each car weighs at least 105 grams. And if we didn't weigh it, let me talk to the guys. Don't worry about the time. You guys got as much time as you need to work on your cars. When I see the last person up to their driver panel, we'll start the race. But they have to weigh 105 grams. So at any point, the guys could technically rip their weight off during the heat and run the rest of the race if we don't recheck weight randomly. We were going to do it after each heat, but that would slow it down so much. These are already 5-minute heats. People's got to get home and stuff like that. But we just check it randomly. They don't know when we're going to check it, but we're at least going to check it at least one time per race and make sure they're at that. If they're not, then they're going to get penalized 10 laps. We were going to penalize them for a whole heat, but everybody thought that was a little drastic. I was the only one that thought it was fitting for cheating. But 10 laps, as you can tell, just by what these statistics are currently right now, Randy's holding off the lead by 8 laps. So 10 laps would be very, very detrimental, and it gets the point across. Don't shave weight, And then at the end of the heat, round 8 of 8, all cars have to weigh in for the final 2. And then as just a help for the guys too, what we do is I've got it paused now, the countdown, where I usually just give them 3 minutes whenever they get weighed in, because it takes time from their pit schedule. I just let them have as much pit time as they need, kind of like an intermission essentially. And then whenever they all get back to their driver's panel, I'll start the race. And I guess I probably should reiterate why we're having a minimum weight. The reason we have a minimum weight is so that more people will get into the series. Because there's a lot of people that have 4-inch cars, but if I limit it to one chassis and you don't have that chassis, but you have a 4-inch chassis, then it kind of makes it where you can't get in the race. So I took the heaviest chassis with the heaviest body, with the heaviest everything on it. That's our minimum weight. You can have more weight than that, you just can't have less. All right, is everybody ready? Watch your lights. All right, so we'll be getting underway here in about 5 seconds. We'll start seeing these lights. On the back stretch, we got Paul Woosley on orange. On the front stretch, Randy Kirtley on yellow. Bruce Bullington really quick around there on black lane, holding that pressure through on black. We'll see how well he does on this lane. We see there on orange lane, Paul Woosley's car coming out. Oh, get a little bit of a collision there as we seen Bruce Bullington's car coming off black there, getting involved with Glenn Burden there. Not too hard of a hit though, so probably ain't no damage to be done. Then the orange car there of Paul Woosley really holding down a lot of downforce there too, like Randy Kirtley's car. You can see the strength of having that higher downforce there in the rear ends. Both of these cars really low slung, but really big rear wings. We see Randy Kirtley and Bruce Bullington getting in a little bit of side to side there. couldn't be helped there. I mean, that's just how, when you're racing that close, that's what happened. These guys were neck and neck there. Ended up giving Paul Woosley a little bit of an advantage there as he drove back down to the underside there. But Bruce Bullington there, like I said, neck and neck with Randy Curley, actually inching out just a little bit on him. Like I was telling you guys before, he does have the fastest car out there. If he just drive her deep like Randy and them, he'd be smoking them, that American Muscle. Actually gaining about 2 car lengths there on Randy Curley as Paul Woosley comes off yet again there on orange lane. Only one not to have wrecked this heat so far is Glenn Burden on white lane. He's holding it down with 14 laps total right now. 3.787 is his best lap. Bruce Bullington with an impressive 3.489, the fastest currently turned lap right now. His car coming off there on the horseshoe. One more.
Get ready. Go. Yellow flag. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Go.
All right. Sorry about that. We got a call here at Lanes Raceway. Had to take that. And it was definitely a slot car racer. It was from back in the day when we used to race in the basements. I won't mention his name, but said he's going to try to come out here a little bit later and join in on the fun. Of course, we used to beat and bang. That was back in the day whenever we ran hard bodies in the basement. That was brutal. We ran hard bodies, FCRs. We had some good times down in the basement. Of course, those times have continued on here at Lanes Raceway as we brought it into more of a professional environment, a little bit easier to get around the orange track, as most people know. And we have quite a bit more fun here. It's a little bit cleaner environment, for sure. Paul Woosley and Randy Curley there neck and neck through the S-turns. Looks like Paul Woosley maybe having a little bit of an advantage through the S-turns, with them Randy Curley giving it back there on the yellow lane. We'll see if Paul Woosley able to hold him off. I mean, Randy Curley and Paul Woosley there, just not either one of them giving an inch. Paul Woosley 5:25, Randy at 5:32.
I'll slow him down next week, asshole.
Yellow flag.
So we get a yellow flag there. We get a Paul Woosley a little bit too much acceleration coming out of orange on the horseshoe, popping out a little bit. Close behind him, Bruce Bullington there on the black lane. Probably going to try to reel him in. If you've been racing slot cars long enough, you know that it's easier to reel a car in than to keep one off of you, because you can see where they messed up and drive it just a little bit deeper. It's funny how the human mind works and can see the mistakes of people a whole lot easier than keeping yourself from having mistakes. And by those mistakes, you can, of course, get yourself a little bit of an advantage there. Bruce Bullington's car just smoking fast through that donut. He was able to hold it on that time through the S-turns. Pulling out in front of everybody there. See Paul Woosley and Glenn Burden there fighting it out. Paul Woosley trying to take him on the inside, and he does. Bruce Bullington accelerating a little bit too hard there through the horseshoe. Right behind him, Randy Curley there on yellow. Bruce Bulletin still holding the best lap time for this heat with a 3.489 with an average of 3.79. Paul Woosley turning a 3.59 average, the best average currently. As he's able to pull up a little bit on Randy Kirtley there's average times, but has had a couple more wrecks than Randy, as you can see there, with him turning only 61 laps and Randy turning 64. But if he keeps it up, he'll be able to at least get a little bit more of an inch in there on Randy, maybe tie his laps on this heat. 1 minute left to go in this heat. Like I said, everybody's spreading out nice. These cars are really sucking to the floor and holding down. All these guys have really done well tuning since the last time they've raced here. Hardly as much wrecks as we seen Sunday night. This iteration of LMP Thunder here on Thursday night is definitely going a lot quicker than the Sunday night one. But that's fine, you know. I mean, some weeks you'll have on, some weeks you won't. And on the weeks that you're not on, well, you got to do a little bit of work to get them on. And usually by the end of every series that we've had, these guys are just tooth and nail on it for sure, if that's even the same. Nonetheless, these guys are right up each other by the end of it. But a lot of times it's usually a little bit too late. But we're getting to the point to where we're going to start going back to some of our cars that we've already done, so people should already have their techniques down on those. As we only run but a few classes here at Lanes Raceway. We run a Champion Turbo Flex Fairview IT Cup car, which is also what people would call a NASCAR series. Then we run like a Busch series, I guess you would say. Not Busch series anymore, of course, but Menard series, I guess, car. And that would be like our FCR, which is a 4.5-inch car. And then we run Wing Car Group F with Eagle Motors and GTP class. So, or IndyCar class. And that's pretty much what we run. So we would like to either run a IndyCar collaboration this fall or a dirt car collaboration with a new chassis, 4-inch FCR chassis. And I think the guys are really pulling for the dirt. They love dirt racing around here. I can't get them into the open. I wish I could, Guillermo. I know Guillermo, if he's watching this, me and him are some Formula 1 guys. Kel, too. Kel loves Formula 1, too. I can't agree with the racer that Kel likes, but nonetheless, he likes Formula 1, so he's good in my book. 571 laps total. Randy Kirtley, Paul Woosley, 561. Glenn Burton, 547. Bruce Bulletin, 533. These are good lap numbers, especially for continuing on in the series. Like I said, you got to run 8 races. These guys are turning really good lap numbers tonight to be able to get themselves higher up on the series calendar. This series is open to the public all the way up until the final 8 races, which will be at the end of August. So we're going to be running all the way through June, all the way through July, and all the way through August. And at the 8th, whenever it's 8 and below races, so the last 4 weekends, I guess the last month is, we're closing the series. But up until then, you can get in because you'll have enough time to race 8 races. That's the whole point of doing what we're doing. So if it looks like you're interested, maybe wanting to give it a shot, come on down, give it a shot, get in the series. What could it hurt, you know? We usually pay out top 10 positions. We'll have to see, depending on how many people we have in the series. Currently, I think we got like 8 or 9 people, something like that in the series. I think there's a few more that's going to be getting into it, but they've got things going on right now, going on vacation and doing stuff. So it's going to get bigger. It'll probably end up being around 12 to 14 people, unless we get some newcomers.
Race starts in 40 seconds.
We're always open to newcomers. If you are new and you're kind of scared, well, will these guys accept me? I can go ahead and answer that to you. Yes, they will. They will accept you. Come on in. They'll teach you everything they can teach you, and I'll teach you everything I can teach you, for sure. And we'll have us a good time.
Race starts in 20 seconds.
20 seconds left to go. And I'll tell you what, I've been past couple days, if anybody was wondering, I know nobody's been asking, but anyways, I'm going to tell you anyway. Last couple days, been playing pinball. At Jurassic Park, I forgot how much fun it was. going to Nashville and playing it, the premium version of it. We don't have the premium here. We got the pro. But yeah, the game's a blast. If you like pinball, come on in. We got several people that travel all over and play some pinball. And I'm glad to see that people are starting to understand that pinball is not a game of chance, that you can literally be good at it. Whether you watch people play on Twitch, play pinball on Twitch professionally in tournaments, or whether or not you come in here at Lanes Raceway, I can give you some tips and pointers. I actually will train you for $10. Now, you're not able to sign in or anything like that, but I won't let you leave until you feel satisfied that you have a firm grip on the understanding how to play pinball and how to keep your ball from draining as often. But I will say this, pinball, you will drain eventually. Just a matter of time. You can't hold focus forever, but you can delay it for a long time. Some of these scores I've seen in Nashville, like on Godzilla, for instance, are in the trillion. You know, like 13, 14 trillion point. I've yet to make a trillion. I'm really, really close, like 990, or not trillion, I'm sorry, billion, like 17 billion and stuff like that. Trillion points, that's a lot. But I'm almost to a billion. I've almost made my first billion. But I'll put it like this. I'm at 960 million, something like that right now. I think it's what the scoreboard says. But anyways, that's only on one game, Godzilla. That's the one I play the most. But go to Nashville and they got 17, 18 billion. Like, I'm just thinking to myself, man, what do they do? Just sit there and play pinball all day long? Get that score? I've watched live streams of people playing 5 and 6 hours in a row and can't get to, like, some of those scores, but they get them pretty high, you know, in a couple billions, 3 or 4 billion. It's just crazy. You can just always get better at things. Same way in slot car racing or any of this stuff, you can always get better. I would like that all of our guys just got, like, to the level of these 4 individuals got right now. If we could get our guys racing like this, we could pretty much go to any slot car track and have a really good shot at winning wherever we win. And the orange track's a beautiful track to learn all of the principles of slot car racing. S-turns, donuts, dog legs, high banks, straight stretches, horseshoes. Like, that's pretty much everything you see on any bigger track. But I do understand not everybody is competition minded. For those people, we do have birthday parties. They can get out here and rent some cars and have a good time just beating and banging around on each other, just having fun. But for those that do want to take things like that, VR and all that other stuff, whether it be pinball, racing slot cars, or whatever it may be, even just regular VR competitions. If you like competitions like I like competitions, I think they're in a huge decline in the U.S. Used to, you could go anywhere and find competitions to do, whether it be video game competitions, baseball competitions, like anything. Like, I remember growing up, there were always a competition going on. And it's funny, like, I look in the paper or get on the internet and stuff now, and there's hardly anything going on other than, like, your local dirt track or drag strip, you know, racing and stuff like that. You don't hardly hear of any basketball tournaments like you do. It's just, I don't know. I think that's a part of American culture, that competition is what drove this nation to be so great. I mean, if you get right down to it, it was the competitive and confident nature of men that won World War II. You know, people would argue that the United States didn't win World War II, but funny, they needed us, and we came. So I believe that the confidence of the U.S. Won for D-Day for sure, even though we lost a lot of men. And I think we need that confidence back in the nation for sure, making men men, women for sure. Really enjoy these guys. It's got a pause here. We must have an issue on the track going on here. What's going on? Hey, so we're supposed to actually continue racing. People that are in Series. Tell 'em. Make an announcement. All right, guys, we got about 30 seconds before we're going to have to go back racing here. Not fair to everybody else, babe. Telling you. I love Glenn, but Dad, he broke a gear the other night. Continued on. No?
Ready.
Go. Guys, know the rules. Hey, after the race is over, weigh them. Sometimes you gotta make tough calls. I love Glenn. Glenn knows I love him. Glenn knows we try to keep it as fair as we can here. Dad broke his gear the other night. We didn't stop for him. There's been several occasions that we don't stop for people. Get 30 seconds though. I mean, that's what the rules was in the previous series. I don't think I wrote that actually on our series rules this one, but we're just continuing that on. So you got 30 seconds. That was about 30 seconds. So no rules to be broken here tonight. So if you are in the LMP series, there was no rules broken here. Less than 30 seconds. If you can prove otherwise, let me know, and you know, maybe we can deduct some laps from people. I don't know. You just let me know what you want done, and we'll try to make it happen. But nonetheless, like I said, these guys were so kind-hearted that they were going to go help him do that. That's the kind of people we got here at Lanes Raceway. But at the same time, as a race director, we do have to stick to what the rules state, and I know Glenn understands that. Glenn's actually the one that came up with the rule. Alicia earlier was talking about the weight and everything. Glenn was the one that came up with that. He was like, well, you better check them in between races because, you know, they may pull their weight. I never even thought about that. But my mind doesn't think about how to cheat. It thinks about winning. Like, how can I get better? And when you got a mind that kind of pushes forward like that, you never think about people cheating, you know. Anyways, Glenn's got a good heart. He thinks that way, and I'm thankful for it because he protects us here at Lanes Raceway. And, you know, if people are short on weight, that's what's going to have to happen. So it looks like Glenn may be having more trouble than just a wire possible here. 1 minute and 16 seconds left to go in the heat. We get another wreck going on here.
Get ready.
Randy Curley out in the lead with 635, Paul Woosley 625, Bruce Bullington 596, and Glenn Burton 576. Seems like Paul Woosley having quite a bit of trouble there coming out from underneath the bridge there here tonight. For some reason or another, when his car wrecks, it just kind of ends right there at the end of the bridge. Trying to think possibly what that could be. Maybe just letting it dive bomb in there just a little bit too deep. Question. 29 seconds left to go.
Second lap.
Bruce Bullington coming off there again with the yellows. We'll roll around to checkered flag. No one on the same lap here, so Randy Kirtley will be first place tonight with 653 laps, followed by Paul Woosley with 641, 611 of Bruce Bullington, and 576 of Glenn Burton. Bad luck there for Glenn Burton as he was there in the top 3 position, but as the cookie crumbles, you know, this is a enduro race. Things can go awry, but other than that, like I said, pretty good race here. I'm going to probably go out here and try to get some interviews from some guys and see what they felt about it and see what they think, and we'll be right back with you. All right, guys, going to weigh these cars. My wife's going to weigh the cars. I'm going to sit here after they get done weighing. T, if anybody doesn't pass weight, let me know. Make sure everything's good. If they don't pass weight, I think we agreed the other night, it's going to be a 10-lap penalty. Glenn, I think yours is going to pass weight. Glenn, it seems like you had about a bad spell of luck like Randy did Sunday night. What exactly happened to why that you were off the track there?
I broke a wire on the guide flag and wasn't prepared. Rookie mistake.
Broken wire there on the guide flag. I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, these 5-minute heats do a lot of work on these cars, and it's just a shame. It seems like after every race that we've had in the LMP series here, at least one person has had some pretty sore luck. But looks like Glenn's possibly going to try to get his stuff fixed up there. He said it was a rookie mistake, so I always advise before the race, resorter your leads. That way that you don't have to worry about it, at least for that race. But if you get your wires too short, then you can't really do that. So always leave just a little bit of slack. Yeah, you'll have a little bit of weight, but you can always go and resort it a couple times for having to get new guide wire. Another big advantage of using the actual slot car guide wire instead of other speaker wire or whatever kind of wire, 12-gauge wire, whatever you're using, is this wire is specifically made for slot cars that the guide flag's actually free and can bounce back and forth. If you get the stiffer stuff, it kind of wants to hold the flag over, and you have issues like that. Bruce, would you like to do an interview? Everybody passed weight? All right, ladies and gentlemen, everybody passed weight. I'm here with Bruce Bullington. Bruce, what was your favorite lane tonight?
Green, orange, blue, yellow, and purple, and black.
So pretty much all lanes.
All but white and red. All white and red. I just can't get my on those. It's all in that oval.
It is all in that oval for sure. We spoke about that in the live stream tonight, how that getting that pressure down in them rear tires is something that you just got to learn, and it's a hard thing to learn, isn't it?
Yeah, yesterday, I don't know, I was really slow, very timid, taking my time, and tonight I picked it up. And I got some advice from a feller, and he told me, yeah, you just flatten her out and go.
It does work, and that's why I was telling everybody tonight too. It's funny you're mentioning all this. I was saying these guys that we got, that I was like, if you're timid about joining in on slot car racing or anything like that, I said we got the guys that you come in, they're more than open arms. We got some of the best slot car racers here. Would you agree?
These guys, and give you some tips like Randy and and Glenn. They say, hey, turn your sensitivity down on this lane, and it kept me in the lane instead of track. hit it, but since it jump out, and I go sliding across the track.
Yeah, I mean, we can see here on Black Lane right now that the where somebody had come in a little bit aggressive here in the middle of the corner, we can see that it's rolled that braid up. And this is the type of stuff that happens, and Bruce could attest to this, that, you know, the harder you dive bomb it into the belly of the corner, those guide flags will dig a lot of the times.
Yes, I've even flipped myself there tonight. I just looked like I hit a tree something and just flipped because I hit the brake, which is letting off the trigger, and had the brake turned up, and it went boop right on its lid.
Yeah, we've seen it a couple times come off in its general direction, but something, you know, I've mentioned before on live streams before, that tells the difference between a driver that's a good driver or a driver that's just learning how to do slot car racing, is that when a car comes off, if it don't hit the wall, that guy just barely come out. But if a guy comes off and plows the wall, he's got a lot of work to do. But yeah, I will have to say, Bruce, I thought your best lane tonight, just me watching, was black. I think you were holding it down almost perfectly there in the corners. And I know there was a time that you were right there neck and neck with Paul Woosley, and neither one of you guys were giving an inch, and it was beautiful looking. And I think you even was in there with Randy Kirtley at one time too, right after it.
Yeah, a couple of lanes. Yeah. Yeah, even red, black, and not red, yellow and purple. Yeah, because we swapped. He was on purple first, and I was on yellow, and we just run it. And I you know, I messed up, and I kind of was a little wide body with him and knocked him off. I didn't mean to, but it happens.
Yeah, we mentioned that whenever y'all got into a little bit of a tussle here. But I mean, that's racing. Everybody knows rubbing's racing, and I mean, just to see how close you guys was going around through the backstretch here, it's like I was telling everybody on the live stream, I personally believe that your car was the quickest, maybe not dive bombing as much as you was on Black Lane, but once you was dive bombing on Black Lane, these guys couldn't hold a candle to you with that American muscle here on that backstretch.
Well, I would like to think so, but I think you're stretching it a little bit because all these guys are fast, and I could just, you know, I'm just, like I say, I'm just learning this track, and I'm gonna have to learn it, or you know, I'm just gonna, you know, suffer if I don't just step it up. But
Well,
I don't want to tear my car up crashing it either. So, you know, because they're tough, but they can bend.
Well, I'll tell you this, Bruce, how quick you picked up the oval track and become a front runner on it. You'll have no problems with this already, just from the past 3 races that you've been in. I'm seeing daylight and dark difference here. Everybody tonight that was in this race tonight kept it within 10 or so laps the whole race long, up until there at the end when Glenn had a little bit of misfortune and you started, I guess, waning a little bit and coming off here in the horseshoe. Horseshoe was a big problem tonight, I've noticed. A lot of people gassing a little bit too hard. I seen Paul Woosley, who I'm probably fixing to talk to here next, having quite a bit of an issue here on the horseshoe portion. And his car, every time he come off under the bridge, he was right after the end of the bridge when he would come off. It was the weirdest thing. And you don't usually see that sort of thing. But I guess that's where everybody's just trying to get their own rhythm down. And I think with 4 people running, gave you guys a little bit of an advantage to get more laps tonight. You know, Sundays, of course, there are a little bit more people, a little bit more competition. Really test your skills on Sunday night. But, Bruce, I think I'm rooting for you. I shouldn't really be rooting for anybody, but so far you're the only guy representing American Muscle. You know, Ford's close to my heart. Still got Ford cars all the way in the garage.
Well, I appreciate that, but hey, it's anybody's game. I mean, you can, like Glenn tonight broke a wire, and I mean, you just never know. I mean, the other night I was racing Sunday night, you know, I had a braid have a bubble in it, burnt, and I couldn't figure. You know, I flipped it up, and we took off again, but I lost 5 laps. So, you know, that's and Iman, the guy that left, he had me beat, and he set out the last heat. And you know, you gonna give it to me? He gave it to me. So, you know, So
yeah, I think he had a pretty good trip to the house, and he lives towards the Louisville area, and of course Sunday was a pretty rough race. Would you agree?
yeah, it was. But you know, we get more people and more you run, the better they get. And, it's like I let these, they know if they're faster, I know they're faster and they're a couple of laps, I'll give them, I'll let them go by, We communicate, we talk, say, hey, you go, and I'll take off,
It almost begs the question: should Lanes Raceway get a blue flag here? If speeding oncoming traffic's coming, should we wave the blue flag so they can go by?
Well, I don't know about all that.
Well, it's all in good fun, Bruce. I appreciate you talking here with us.
Hey, everybody come down, support Lanes Raceway, Livermore, Kentucky, small community. We all love you. Come down, have fun.
You heard Bruce. Come on down, have a good time. Paul, would you like to have an interview? I'm going down the line. Paul Woosley, ladies and gentlemen, coming up here to have a little bit of post-race talk here at Lanes Raceway. Probably last time you seen him was Sunday, I believe. But before that, probably seen him at the banquet wearing strutting glasses coming down here. He does have his own specific amount of swagger here. Paul, what do you have to say about what went on tonight racing-wise? What do you feel about tonight's race?
Oh, it was a great race tonight. I just need to get my stuff together a little better. Had the wrong side of tires on this beginning of the race, and I had to swap those out. And after got that taken care of, the car came around, and within each heat, the car got better and started sticking. So away we went.
I remember about the point that you got those new tires on, and I started noticing you were hooking a whole lot better here. Don't mind my black finger here, by the way. I painted a body. It's not like I'm trying a fashion statement here. But nonetheless, he was coming around here in the donut portion of the track, and he was sticking a whole lot better after you put those tires on it. But one thing I had noticed a little bit tonight was a little bit of a struggle coming into the dog leg here. How was your car always, when it would come out, it was ending up at the end of this bridge? It was the most weird thing I'd ever seen.
It's the first time I ever started doing that. I don't know if I got about rhythm or what the deal was, but yeah.
I didn't know if you were trying something new, trying to push it a little bit deeper or what, but it was just, I was noticing like T was always just grabbing it right there, right past the bridge.
Yeah, I was trying different techniques, trying to come in straight away into the corner a little harder and power around it. Tried that a few times, braking a little harder before you get to the curve instead of driving in deep. That seemed to help a little bit, but I got to practice more on that. That could have ended up causing me coming out the top of the bridge there like I was.
Well, I'll tell you what, you were fast as fast could get. I seen, too, that it was a little bit of a struggle here, kind of pitching the nose in, but everybody was struggling on this tonight. What do you think was making everybody struggle here? Was it because they were trying to get so much speed through the S-turns tonight, but it was every single person was having struggles here on the horseshoe, or do you think maybe it was a track issue?
No, it wasn't a track issue. It's everybody just trying to dig deep, trying to get speed and get times in. We're just trying to beat the track.
Well, do you think that from here on out when we run this that probably putting glue there was a good idea? Do you think that helped a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the glue definitely helped. You can tell where it didn't have glue. We was kicking out over here on the black and the orange, and she'll kick out, then it'll hook right back up and pop you out.
What do you think that maybe we should put some glue, or maybe I could respray the donut? I mean, you guys let me know. You guys are the ones feeling it. I kind of feel like in the movie Days of Thunder, Cole Trickle's like, man, I don't know nothing about car setup, but he's like, it's all about feel. So whatever you guys are feeling, if you need glue, I'll spray it. If you need me to clean it, I'll do whatever you guys need. Y'all gotta let me know.
I will just all get together, we'll collaborate, and we'll see what thinks best, and we'll go from there.
All right, I love it, Paul. Thank you for talking to me. Glenn? Well, maybe I want to talk again. All right. Pap, you want to come up here and say something to your fans? King Kirtley? I don't know if my mic will go that far. We can try it, though, since these old guys, once they sit down, ladies and gentlemen, they don't want to get up. So I guess we'll go over here. If it cuts out, I'm sorry. You'll just miss the interview of King. Your car on fire tonight. You and Paul Woosley there, and Glenn Burden there, probably within the first 3 heats, it was anybody's ball game. You started walking off on them about after that. What would you say is the reason you just started walking off? Was it because you were staying on, or was it because your car was just so much far superior? What would you attribute to you being able to just start doing some pretty heavy laps?
Well, it was good at first until I guess I wore my tires out. And I think I may have started dragging in the center of the chassis a little bit. That's the reason it was jumping out coming around the donut.
I remember whenever you was jumping out there in the donut, those guys, they caught you quick. And it didn't take them but 2 laps or so to get you within 3 or 4 laps there at one point. And, I was really questioning whether or not it was going to be your day again. Of course, we know you suffered a gear loss Sunday. And, we know at the beginning of the oval race, your son, Gabriel Kirtley, had him some rough times in the NASCAR series or our Fairview IT Cup series. Are you going to be able to hold it together with this Mid-America chassis, or do you think maybe mid-season you might have to change?
Well, I've got a JK chassis ready. This chassis is kind of weak right in the center. It's got that one little narrow section right there, and it tends to want to bend. If you look at it now, you can see where it's bent in the center.
Do you think that bend in the center is coming around the high banks, or is it just from in small incursions?
I think it's from just having hits, and it don't have a whole lot of metal there to take it. So, and then with the weight on it, it just causes it to bend that much more.
It is very interesting. I wish people out there in TV land could see how you got your car put together here. But unlike a bunch of people, you have your weights sorted in. It looks like up in the front tips of the pan and the rear tips of the pan. And then a little bit on, I guess, what did you call that, the front arms of the pan there?
Yeah. Well, here it is. If you want to take it over where you can video it.
Yeah, I think I'll take that over and show the guys and gals real quick and let them know so they can see about what it looks like, what Randy Kirtley, the speed machine, also known as King Kirtley's car, looks like. And 2 tires with some new skins on them. I'll take that too. Randy, thank you for your time. And I'll see you come Sunday. All right, folks, I'm going to come in here and show you his car that he's let us so graciously see. And then we'll probably end the stream there, and we'll see you guys Sunday. Looks like a little bit of beating banging took place there in the S-turns here tonight. Knocked out a little bit of the LED strips here you can see in the camera. Yeah, I can see that LED right there is completely on. So I'll get that sorted in. We'll have some lights going again. I'll come in here to the webcam here so you can better see this chassis. All right, folks, I'm going to swap over to my other microphone here. All right. This right here is Randy Kirtley's chassis. I'll show you his side pans first. So you can see here, he's got his weight sorted in here on the front arms and the rear weight here, of course, to meet his 105 gram weight. And then he also has here in the center section, when he was in the interview, he's talking about this section right here that was bending. He's got his weight over here on this arm and on this arm, and he sorted it in so the weight won't come out, so he's always passing weight section. That's very smart to keep that on his car like that, simply because he'll never lose his weight. But this is Donald Kirtley here at Lanes Raceway. God bless you. Thank you for watching tonight. And come back and join us again here Sunday and support the guys that race here at Lanes.